Tara Kittrell, welcome to That Badass Broadcast. I am so delighted you're here. Tara is a fellow Masters powerlifter, and she is a killer deadlifter. She actually pulled 320 pounds, that's 145 kilo for our friends that do kilo math, at 128 pounds of body weight, right? That's 58 kilo. And she's, yeah. And is also just an all-around badass. Tara decided to become an EMT at 54 years old. I think I've got that right. And so you can see why I absolutely had to have her on this podcast, because you like personify a badass broad, Tara. We've been Instagram friends for a while, which in the strength community means like we watch each other do ridiculous things, we cheer each other on. And I have to say, in my case, occasionally I wonder if you ever sleep, because between your day job as a nurse and the ambulance, like weekends, and apparently you're always managing to pull something very heavy off the floor, even if you're wearing street clothes. So I don't know when you sleep, but before we get into all of it, I just want to spend a little time getting to know you, because even though we follow each other, we don't know each other that well. I know you grew up in Boston, right? Mm-hmm. But I think you're in Arkansas now. Do I have that right?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yes.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, so how did that happen? Just give us a quick picture of sort of where you are. How do you spend your days? Who's in your world?
So I have now been here like over half my life. So I'm 56 years old. I moved here when I was 26 with my boyfriend, who's now my husband. We've been going on, July will be 28 years. We have two kids. We have a 21 and a 23-year-old. And like my accent will come and go, but when I'm in the ambulance, I really jazz it up like I'm like Matt Damon from The Departed, you know? But yeah, I grew up in the Boston area, and long story short, or with me, a short story long, I moved to Georgia, and that's where I got my master's in counseling. And then I was a foster care caseworker in Savannah, Georgia. And the big top tier dude was embezzling funds. So I had to get out of there and get another job. And so I worked with DeKalb County, where Medea's from, in Decatur, Georgia. And I worked with police officers as a mobile crisis unit counselor. And I'd have to rotate into a detox center and a jail. And that's how I met my husband, who was doing forensic, psychiatry fellowship. And so that's how I met him. So we're kind of both in the mental health field. And I just follow him back to Arkansas, and I've been here ever since. So over half my life, Miriam, I've now been in Little Rock, Arkansas.
What a change, huh?
Yeah. Or as we say up in the north, Arkansas.
I'm not even going to attempt it, because even though I live in Vermont and my husband's got family that are from Boston, I've lived in Boston. Every now and then I can get a little teeny bit of the accent right, but if I do it in front of my husband or one of my besties is from Medford,
Medford, yeah.
I always lunge into a Brooklyn accent by accident, because that's really where my roots are, and they're just not the same. But so you're a nurse, yes. And you're a psychiatric nurse, is that right?
Yes, I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
Okay.
So I have been a psychiatric nurse practitioner since '09. So what is that now? 17 years.
Okay.
And I am the sole psychiatric nurse practitioner for University of Arkansas Little Rock.
Wow.
And so I'm a licensed professional counselor as well, and an APRN, and I'm fully independent, so I don't need doctor oversight anymore. But you know, I will bounce things off my husband, because my husband's a psychiatrist. And so it's kind of cool, because I've been here for 16 years, so I've already seen a generation come through, and just the trends in mental health and psychiatry. And before that, I was an ER nurse, and I was a sexual assault nurse examiner too, through our level 1 trauma hospitals, UAMS, and so I worked there. And then just kind of had an itch I wanted to scratch. My youngest graduated from high school, so at 53 I took an EMT course, and then at 54 I joined our city ambulance company.
Well, we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. I'm interested in what drew you to psychiatric sort of nursing. How did you end up doing mental health focus?
Sure. When I was a kid, I was a sporty kid, and I ran track. And then when I went to college, like I want to be an athletic trainer. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be an athletic trainer. And then, you know, I was in the late 80s, early 90s, and we were taught to any old way. You know, Title IX wasn't a thing, and we're just treated like shit. And I'm like, oh my God, I hate athletes, even though I was one. You know, like, I hate these people. I'm like, oh, they're horrible. And I would go back home because I'd have to take a Peter Pan bus to go back home. And once I was on one and we got pulled over because somebody had a warrant, it was kind of like, we're just.
In New York, it was the short line, but it's the same thing.
Hopefully we could get there in one piece. But I sat next to a woman who was like, I was reading my abnormal psychology textbook, and she just started telling me her life story, how she was like, she was a prostitute and this and this and this, and it just kind of gave her space. And she just said, "You're really easy to talk to. Like, you should really do this for a living." And I was like, That really kind of pushed me into it, like, yeah, maybe.
It's kind of like a light bulb, it sounds like. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And have you found it rewarding?
So I think overall, I think I'm well suited for this, but I've been doing it for a long time and I at times really struggle with burnout. During the week, I hear a lot of drama and trauma, and then on the weekend it's the flip. I see drama and then I see trauma. And I think, that's how the powerlifting comes into play. Seeing the same students over and over, and some who are pretty severe, it just sometimes feels it's nonstop. At times I could really feel the burnout, where I'm like, there's just so much I could do,
Yeah. Well, and especially because you're dealing with college students who are already going to be prone to being more impulsive and having a
Yes.
difficult time with control of their behavior. And you've got kids that are in that age range. And I would imagine I have kids a little tiny bit older than yours,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
same, it would be really hard in terms of that emotional attachment because I would sort of like want to mom them up,
Yes, yes. And I have to
you
struggle
can't,
with that too.
right? You can't.
Yeah, and it's so funny you mentioned that because like I've kind of learned to lean into like transference and counter transference. Like I've said to many students, I'm like, look, when you get pissed at me, it's because maybe I'm reminding you of an auntie. When I get frustrated with you, it's because like I know you're not my kid, and I want to. And I also will tell them this. I go, I'm sure your mom is delightful, and I don't want to come off like your mom. However, so I've learned to kind of lean into it in a sense.
Yeah.
I do like what I do overall. I think I'm decent at what I do because I'm like, I kind of have a dark sense of humor, a little weird, but not like as somebody told me this at work. They go, "You're crazy, but you're a good crazy." Like, thanks, I think. But also they say that because of powerlifting, Miriam. How dare, how dare,
Well, and that's a perfect segue along with you mentioning powerlifting earlier because it seems like that would be an incredible outlet for you
Yes.
in helping you with that numbness and that just all of the feelings of fatigue and burnout. So talk to me a little bit about that. And how did you get into powerlifting in the first
Yeah,
place?
sure.
You were a track athlete when you were young,
Yeah.
right?
So, I ran and then I abruptly stopped my freshman year because being from the Boston area, everyone likes to hop into the Boston Marathon. So I was a 200, 400 meter sprinter. I was very good in high school, but then I get to college, I'm just getting my ass kicked, And me and another runner on the team are like, let's hop into the Boston Marathon. And this is the time that you could hop into the Boston Marathon.
Casually run 26.2 miles.
Yeah, you didn't even have to register. You just come, and they'll give you a little wrap around after. And I did it in like, it was starting to get dark. I think I did it in like around 5 hours. And my mother was a nurse at Boston College, and a lot of the nurses and docs will work, at the finish line. And one recognized me and is like, "Oh my God, you're not looking good at all," because the way I thought to train was, well, if I can run 13 miles, mentally I could do 26.2. I could, but physically it was a very bad idea.
Yeah.
So then my coach found out that I did that and fudged my time so I'd get into a crazy fast heat. Everyone called me Taz. My nickname was Taz. Yes, for the Tasmanian Devil. He said, "Hey, Taz, so you think you're a 100-meter sprinter? We're going to put you in." And he fudged the time. And so it was so humiliating because I was
wow.
in a heat that was so much faster than me. And, I'm 19. I'm so embarrassed. I stopped running track. It's just,
This is his way of trying to punish you for running a marathon? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's just
Yeah.
awful.
And so I was really embarrassed by that. And so then I would run on my own. I would lift weights on my own, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I still ran on my own. And then when I was in my early 40s, I have a brother, And he's like, oh, you ought to do CrossFit. And I tried it, but I really like, the deadlifting. I remember like the first time we were trying to, like, I learned it in a gym and have never deadlifted before. And it was the first time, and I got up to 243. And they're like, oh my God, you should do this. You should do this. And my brother really encouraged me. But I didn't know, like, you got to squat, like, I'm thinking, oh, I can squat really good, but I didn't know.
I can quarter squat great.
Yeah. And the crazy thing was at that time, not to, be like a gym bro, and there's no way I'll ever see these numbers again just because of joint issues. Like, I could bench 150 pounds. So I was, like, naturally strong. I was 44, turning 45. That was my first powerlifting meet I did with his encouragement, and then I just kept going. I kept going. So I'm 56, and I started at, I'll just say 45. Was that like, I'm math, like 11 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been at it for a hot minute.
So you were strength training in college and as a young adult. Did you keep lifting weights and doing strength training all the way through that transitional time into your 30s and into your early 40s, or did you kind of stop lifting?
I always did it, but it was more bodybuilding. And honestly, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It would always be like, on a Smith machine. It wasn't the powerlifting movements.
Right.
It was when I was in my early 40s, I was taught it. And I really liked it. I was like, ooh, I like this. And like you're a newbie, and I already had some like muscle memory and some broad strength. So I like got strong fast-ish. I say ish.
Well, it sounds like you started strong to begin with too. So, it's awesome to make that kind of progress at the beginning. Who taught you?
So I went to like this gym that's now defunct, and I was one of the older people that went, but it was a strength conditioning place for like baseball players, for basketball players, football players. And so I went to it, and I was naturally strong, for my age and for the women there. So I took to it, and I had a lot of fun. And then I just kept doing it on my own. And of course, not knowing what I was doing until I got a coach,
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that because you have clearly a really special relationship with your coach.
I love Riley. Yes. Yeah. I have, weights in my house too. So I do a lot of training in my house and then also in this office.
From what I can see, you'll deadlift anywhere. I mean,
and at the station where I work,
Say. You must have like 5 bars spread out all over. I love the videos of you where you're like, I didn't have time to, get into my gym clothes, so I'm in my jeans, bell bottom jeans, and pulling it, and you're just pulling. Oh, it's casual, 253. I'm like, wow. So tell me how you met Riley. So Riley Grix, right, is your coach?
Yes.
So how long have you been working with her, and how did you meet her in the first place? Then?
So I had a coach before, and then he moved, and that was face to face. And I'll actually always be really appreciative of him and his wife because they opened up a gym. In Little Rock, Arkansas, there was a gym called BMF, or Bad Motherfuckers, up in Cabot, which is like a 40-minute drive for me. And it was during the pandemic. I was very thankful for him because I could drive up there and, trying to do this job during COVID. It just was like a really nice way to decompress, going up there. But then they moved, and I had a powerlifting friend that recommended another coach, and he had some big ticket names, and because I'm not like, top 5, he became really negative about my lifting and just like had no time, and really all I just need is just a little feedback, on my video, If
you're listening to this and you have a coach who's doing that shit to you, dump them. Like,
yes.
Dump them. I promise you there are people listening to this that are dealing with a coach that's not treating them the way they ought to be treated, and they're gaslit about it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Leave. And then and it was hard because he would just tear apart my form. I'm like, I get it, but could you help me? I wasn't open powerlifting top 10. And, that's what some of his people were. First, he was really excited to work with me because of, the deadlifting thing. Because I guess it was right after I did that 320. And I was 49. I weighed in 128. I looked like an effing praying mantis. Because at the time I was 5'7". I was all limbs. It's like, oh, what's this?
It's a surprise to see someone like
Yeah,
you
we
pull
have
that weight.
potential, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm natty. I'm only going to get so good so fast, and I think he just got bored with me. And then, or if I needed clarification or I just couldn't get something, because again, at the time you're looking at me, I'm about 45, 50. It just doesn't click as fast. And us master lifters, we're going to keep at it. We don't quit. We roll up and get going, but we just don't sometimes pick up things as quick. It was hard. I ended up breaking up with my coach, and it was so funny. I had to talk to a coworker, and my coworker's like, "Yeah, Tara, this is bullshit. Leave." So I didn't have anyone for a bit, and then somebody told me about Riley, and I reached out, and I've been with Riley ever since. I'm ride or die, because she has stuck with me through a lot. Like our last prep, I mean, I had to do half of it in Boston because my dad went into kidney and heart failure. And so, you're working up to your big lift. And I couldn't. He's fine now. He's recovering. It's a long road. But I'm literally sitting with a doctor trying to talk to him about end of life. And my father doesn't want to hear it. And then I got to go try and lift. And it wasn't like, oh, suck it up. She's just super supportive. She meets you where you're at. And also, I have some medical issues and joint issues, and she hung with me, never shamed me, like knew I'm fucking trying, And she's like that with everyone. It's not just me. She's just like that with everyone. And I know you have a great relationship with your coach, and that's just very special to have, especially I think at our age where, we have different struggles than younger people.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's amazing is when your coach is younger and they get it,
Yeah. Yeah.
They just, like you said, they meet you where you are, and it's not about my age or, I just can share what's going on with me, and that's what we're dealing with. And it makes me so mad that you were treated the way that you were. I know how common that is. That's why I'm sort of like, getting on a soapbox for a second about, because
No, please do.
You feel as the athlete in that situation like it's your fault. Because this is the coach, right? And this is the person who's supposed to know, and you must be doing something wrong, or you're not communicating well enough, or you shouldn't be asking these questions, or you should just be listening to what they say, or whatever. And it's not about them. That's the bottom line. Like with Riley, clearly, and with Joe, my coach, it's not about them, it's about us. And that's the way it should be. If you're a coach, it's about your athlete. And your relationship with the athlete is to help the athlete meet their goals. That's what they're paying you for. They're not paying you so your ego can be stroked by the fact that, like, if that's what you're in it for, then don't work with ordinary people, Anyway, I'm so glad that you have a coach that you're so happy with.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about all the issues that you've had, because you've just been through it. You have physically been through it on top of all the stuff that you're dealing with your work. Mm-hmm. And she's, like, clearly stuck with you and just supported.
Never got bored, never been like, oh God, fuck, another issue. Just super supportive, meets me where I'm at. And just also, I know it's not just me. Like, I love that she meets everyone. Like, you don't have to be an elite athlete.
Right.
She's going to work with you.
Yeah. Well, and it tells you that if someone is an elite athlete and you have a coach that treats you the way yours did, then they're probably actually treating even their best athletes not so great in certain ways. They're not serving any athlete well if that's their attitude. Mm-hmm. I think that's just my...
Yeah, because two of his lifters who were at one time, like, right up there, they left.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, it's like the coach that you had back when you were running track. I mean, what a horrible thing to do to a 19-year-old, to kind of kill your spirit like that. And humiliate someone? I mean, humiliation is the worst thing you can do, I think, as a leader.
Well, I agree. That really was very humiliating. And he did that to humiliate me.
Yeah.
Also, I was a week after running the Boston Marathon. My dad still laughs about it. He and his friend had to carry me upstairs into my dorm. So I couldn't walk.
19-year-olds don't always make the best choices.
Right. Right.
So, have you sit out, or, there's ways to sort of teach you a lesson about it that will be helpful to you and help you grow as an athlete, right? And it's the same with our coaches. I'm pretty good. I suspect you are pretty good also about following the program. Yes. I don't go off program. I don't YOLO lift. I try to, follow my RPE. Like, I'm a pretty good athlete in that sense. But if I were to do something wrong, I think I would be gently, Talk.
Yes, because I have
Write
been,
it.
and Riley will attest. I don't. I will sometimes like kind of try to test.
Tell me more about that. What do you try to test? What do you mean?
Well, like if I really feel like I can do it, and I guess it's like a fear, like especially when it comes to bench, she might want to see, I just want it this particular weight, and I don't want these fuckers to be crisp. And I'm like, ew. But what if it's not crisp, but I can just do the weight? I'll sometimes do that. And so she'll make a little note, like, you don't have to push it, don't push it. And so I also realize, and she says it, I'm in this for the long haul. Like in my job as an EMT, I see way too much immobility, and we have to keep moving, Miriam. We have to. We have to keep moving. And if I do something stupid and I can't move anymore, I have to take 3 months off or 2 months off because I ego lift. Who am I helping? What was that for? Maybe I might get like 20 likes on Instagram. That was dumb.
No, totally. And I mean, some of the
Excuse me.
worst injuries I've had from training have been because I was an idiot, and even something like an accessory. I mean, I
Yeah,
hurt my
yeah,
shoulder
yeah.
pretty badly a couple years ago doing up like a pull down. And I knew I shouldn't go up. I should have stayed at the weight I was at. And I was like, I can do a little bit more. And the little bit more is what did it to me. So yeah.
Yes.
And then, yeah, you're like, why did I do that? Just, you know, as masters lifters, I mean, everyone needs to be cognizant of this. Young people should as
Yeah.
well, because young people hurt themselves doing stupid shit also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think we are much more aware sort of
Yes.
the, I don't want to say fragility exactly, but if I get any kind of a tweak, I'm like, is this going to be a real thing or is this just a little
Yeah.
tweak? You know?
Yeah.
And it,
No,
so,
that's facts. That's facts right there. Yeah, so it's like, no, I definitely have learned the hard way. Don't go crazy, because I was one and kind of that person, and not crazy, but just like I feel it. Let's go up a little bit in weight because next week will be a deload, or this felt really easy. Let me bump up. But there's also realize there's a reason. And Tara, she's trying to do progressive overload, like. Let her do her magic, because when you don't listen, you fuck up.
no, it's hard. And, and the reason you're a great competitor is because you want it. You want those numbers. You want to push yourself. You want to be stronger. And so it's a hard balance to strike between
Yeah.
that side of our
Yes.
personality and
Yeah.
holding back and just doing what the coach says.
Yeah.
But speaking of injuries, I'm so impressed by the fact that you just persevere. I know you've had issues with your knee. You've had knee surgery. You've got chronic problems with your shoulder.
It's bone on bone, and I refuse to get shoulder replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could be a deadlift only specialist. I mean, we do have deadlift only in powerlifting, but you choose to continue going full power. So why have you made that choice? What is that like for you? Because you are dealing with quite a bit of either pain or frustration or both on
Both,
squat
yeah.
and bench, but you just persevere. So talk to me
And
about that.
that's so this was where I think, the how I took, like early failure and help, because like when I first started, there wasn't, that more and more women are doing it, and that is very exciting, because that's exciting to me, seeing, women in their 60s and 70s lift, because I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Well, we all won't be in a nursing home. Like, this makes me excited. At first, I was kind of like, they lift more than me. And then I was like, Tara, stop. You had your time, you had your little world records. Now it's over with. Just keep going. Just keep going. And then the other thing, my sister passing, I'm like, pardon me, who the fuck am I to be all salty about? You got a sister 20 years younger than you that would have loved to lived another year, and you're pissed off because, you didn't get this deadlift, or, oh no, you can't do this. So I learned I had to go close grip for my shoulders, because it was starting to affect my activities of daily lifting. It sounds silly, but I was like, I can never get arrested because I can't take my arm and pin it back.
Yeah.
And if I'm viewed front, you can see my arms look different when I squat, because I can't bring the shoulder in. Or when I work on the ambulance, I couldn't reach with my right arm. So I had to work really hard at it. And I knew, as much as it sucks and I'm not going to get the numbers I used to, keep benching, because I could at least do it light and I could do a close grip. And then it was the same with squat. It wasn't a traumatic injury. It was years and years of running. And I always had knee pain, but I would thug it out. And then what happened is my knee would catch where I would be walking and I would kind of crumble because my knee would give out. I started to get scared because sometimes at my job I got to carry like a big backpack with all the equipment in there. And I'm like, what if this happens when I'm walking with that or with a patient? So I went, got an MRI, and basically like a chip of my bone from my femur went in, and I had a torn meniscus. And he said, you're pretty much already bone on bone. And this was at the age of 48. He says, it looks like somebody that's 80. And so it's just, I'm one of those people. And then after my thyroid issue, my God, I sound like a hot mess. It just really accelerated joint deterioration. But that means I got to keep moving. Even if it sucks, even if it's painful, I've got to keep moving. I'd see specialists and they were like, oh yeah, see why you're in a lot of pain. You're going to be on a pain pump. I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm going to marinate in opioids? I don't think so. By doing physical therapy daily on it, and I think from powerlifting just lighter and the accessories, it sure helps with mobility, and I think it has helped with pain.
So
Yeah.
basically, if I'm hearing correctly, you're essentially continuing to compete in the full power and do all the lifts, mostly because you find there's value just in
Yes.
training for those other lifts, not because, okay, well, that's amazing and really, I think, inspiring for people to hear.
Because I had to make peace with you're not going to win, but you know what I can mess people up with when they look at me and be like, and this sounds horrible, this is a competitor in me, this is the mindset, where it's like, oh, this little cream puff, oh, it's so nice to meet you, Tara, oh, you're so much fun, oh, you're so lovely. But then when they see my deadlift, like,
You're a
even if
ringer.
I don't win, even
Yes,
if I
like,
don't, at least, you know what, I made somebody nervous, and I like that.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I want to scare people. Yeah.
But really what happened is knowing as I've gotten older in the aging process, like, hey Tara, you can still move. Number one, you can still move. And also each competition I do, Miriam, I don't know if you go through this, I'm like, oh my God, why do I do this to myself? I'm never doing it again. Then instead of
Questioning the life choices when you're 3 weeks out. Does anybody not question their life choices when they're 3 weeks out?
yeah, I'm like, why the hell am I doing this shit to myself? Oh my God, this will be the last one. But then I go, I have a great time, meet amazing people, and I do it again.
Do it all over again.
Because then I find value in it. Like I'm like, okay, like I can now close grip, as I said. I was like, okay, I could do 100 pounds. I could do this much. I could do that much. And then same with the squat. It was like I just wanted to, and I know this is not a great number for a lot of people. For me, I was just like, I just want to be able to squat 200 again. And so, because when after the knee surgery, the doctor sat me down. It was so rude, Miriam. He said, yeah, you'll be active and back to everything you want to do. You just really shouldn't run or squat anymore. I'm like, so why the fuck did I do this? But
I'll get back to all the things I care about doing.
yeah.
Those are the only things I care about
I'm
doing.
like, that was so rude, so rude. But I learned, I learned what, I just slowly just kept going. And again, that's what helps me. I see it has value over at my other job, because in the powerlifting world, I might be a cream puff, but compared to my coworkers, and not saying that I'm stronger than them, but at my age, they're like, you're pretty strong, like you're strong.
You're strong, period. If you compare yourself to the general population, right? That's the hard part is who are you comparing yourself to?
Probably, as I said, something that's unattainable. We probably all do that. So I have to, I don't want to say lower my expectations, but just be realistic.
And you're really, I'm sure, hyper aware of this whole idea of movement as medicine,
Yeah.
both in terms of mental health and physical health, right? I know you're aware of, you've talked about the research into
Yes.
lifting for anxiety, for depression. So there's that side of it. And then there's the physical side of it. Have you applied your knowledge of lifting and
Yes.
lifting training in your work? How do you do that?
So a couple of years ago, I went to the director. I go, I think it would be really cool if we had deadlift seminars, just nice and easy, nothing nothing intimidating. Because I have bumper plates. I even got the chancellor. We got the chancellor to deadlift. It pretty much, just about everyone that's an adult can do 90 pounds, just about, that I've seen. And so we started, and it really took off. And I have a lot of students, when are you going to do it again? We call it Deadlift to Uplift. And we've been to the fine arts, We've been to nursing school, and then for fall festival, and then we had a campus suicide prevention walk. We just set it up in a corner, and we go at it. And then, like you're saying, I talk to the students a lot about movement. And I'm like, look, it's not going to cure it, but it will help it. And I think when they see me do it, and knowing that I am older than a lot of their moms, and I'm doing it, it means something. And it's never, I'm not like trying to max out or show off. I'm just showing you at a lightweight, you can do this. Some students will come in and we set time. I'm like, hey, you want a deadlift? Let's go. Because in my office that you see, like right next to me is my barbell and the bumper plates. And then we can step outside where you've seen the videos, like that's where we deadlift. And we also we received a grant. It's an Arkansas Department of Health grant where we are trying to make people move as a substitute for substance abuse. So, like,
I feel like people our age, we're not going to be the best lifters in the world.
yeah.
But we can change lives. I mean, when I go to meets, I have had young people, people my kids' age, just be like, you're the most inspiring person here for me. Because I can see that this is something that, I'm going to tell my mom about you. I'm going to tell my grandma about you. I want to be you when I'm almost 60,
Yes.
Or I meet people at conferences, and I talk about what I'm doing. There's always at least a few people that are like, especially men, interestingly, women too, though, but men will be like, they didn't think they could be doing this anymore. Like maybe they were doing it when they were young, but they thought it was behind them. And they're like, wait a minute, maybe I could be doing this again. In your work as a nurse, I'm sure, in your professional life, right? You're spreading this gospel.
And they see it because we're in our 50s at work. First, it's like, what's this cream puff doing here? What's this nurse doing here? What does she think she is? And, you had to go through being a rookie and all that. But, like, I can literally pull my own weight, There was a poor gentleman, he fell into a fire. And this was during the winter, and he was unhoused. And we had to pull him up like a little embankment. So I could use my leg and my deadlift strength. I was able to just pull him out fast. And they were like, where she came from? Because we're not fucking around. We got to get him in the hospital.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I see my strength come in. You and I, we're not big women. We're not big, empowering big. I mean, I'm not petite, but I'm not imposing. So it's like, okay, you have some strength, and that comes in handy.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, did that play a role first of all, what inspired you or made you crazy enough to think to yourself, at the age of 53, I'm going to go become an EMT?
Yeah.
And did your physical strength play a role in you wanting to do that or in believing that you could do that? Why did you do it? What about it called to you? And how has lifting been a factor?
So I was always scared to do it, like, I don't have the chops to do it. I was starting to kind of feel burned out. I knew I wouldn't leave here, but I wanted to do medicine in a different way. We have other nurse practitioners at health services, love them so much. Kirsten, Chanel, love you guys. They're over at health services. I'm the only one in counseling services, so kind of falls on me. The psychiatry part, the mental health part, if there's a bad outcome, it falls on me. Not that as an EMT it doesn't fall on me, but I have no problem having a paramedic be in charge of the scene that's like 30 years younger than me, because I respect that. Yeah. But I also felt like I could give something because I have a very strong mental health background, and our number one calls, even in a major city where we see a lot of shootings, is mental health. So, and we're older. I know how to talk to people. Like I don't get sketched out talking to a 7-year-old. I don't get sketched out talking to an 87-year-old. Like, I know how to talk to people. And I did a meet in 2024, July, with deadlifts. I was able to finally hit a 300 again. I'm like, I can do this. And then I was like, if I can get in front of a bunch of people in my 50s and wear a singlet, I could at least do an EMT class. I took a class at night. I was the oldest person. And then it was like, just get me through 2 weeks. Just get it through 2 months. Make it 6 months. Just make it a year. I'm like, well, let's see what happens. Let's keep going.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're killing it, obviously. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's
Thank
like
you.
I said, very badass. It's badass work to
I'm just
begin
trying
with.
not to kill anyone in the process.
Just don't pick them up and drop them.
Right. No, don't add to the body count. I do like it though. I like it. I like the job. If you're with a great coworker, being in an ambulance for 12 hours with somebody, you're with a great coworker. You feel like you're taking on the world and doing things. And even bad calls, if you're with a good coworker, it's kind of a beautiful thing. And like my humor and everything, I feel a vibe better with like the first responder community than I do with like people in higher learning and, some of the elite crap,
Yeah. You've got that sardonic humor,
Yes.
black humor.
Yeah.
Obviously, the physical strength piece of it has been very valuable, pulling somebody up out of a fire, up an embankment, etc. Has training in powerlifting psychologically, emotionally affected your ability to deal with the trauma, to do the work that is so difficult as an EMT or first responder?
I think it's like when you get ready to do a heavy lift, you gear yourself up, and we get the jitters before meet or before a heavy lift, like, am I going to get it? Am I going to get it? I still get the jitters before every shift. I still will sometimes have anxiety dreams, like what ifs. And so I think both of them play well with each other because you learn to manage. Like I know I'm going to be anxious, but I learn to manage it. And that's both ways. And also that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like we need some of that anxiety because it helps tap into a little bit of flight or fight. We don't want to be like super calm and chill before you're going to do a heavy lift. You want to like not be in a panic state where you can't at least think through your lifts, but not so panicky that I'm not able to function doing the job. So I think there's a lot of overlap. I was very scared to drive an ambulance because in my early 20s, I was in a near fatal car wreck. I was a passenger.
Oh, wow.
And I was behind the driver. She lost control of the car and she hit a motorcyclist. And where I was, I felt the impact of him and I saw him get dragged.
Oh, God.
I didn't think about it for years, Miriam. I didn't think about it. I didn't think it affected me. And then my second day when we were rookies, they would just tell you horror story after horror story after horror story of all the wrecks that happened in ambulances. And I felt myself get really panicked.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, oh shit. And then I remember like texting my husband, I'm coming home, I can't do this. And then I'm like, wait a minute, take a deep breath. Let's just get through the day. And that's the way sometimes like when I get very nervous before meets, I'm like, I don't want to go, fuck this, I don't want to go. And I'm like, take a deep breath. You already paid. What's the worst going to happen? You're going to be okay. And then I think, what's the worst going to happen? You're not driving an ambulance. You're not going to run over somebody.
Yeah, now this is beneficial to you because now you have something to compare it to that actually does have consequences.
Yeah. And then, I'm like, you can do this, Tara. You can do this because what's the worst that's going to happen is it doesn't move and you're going to be fine if it doesn't move. So I think both of them help me. And then I guess the powerlifting, it gives me confidence because a woman in their 50s who, become an EMT, that doesn't happen. But, it did with me. And maybe somebody else is hearing it going, I can do this. Or be a nurse or just whatever you're scared to try.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I feel is one of the greatest benefits of women, especially older women lifting, but younger women also. We can't take our physical strength for granted. I think guys take physical strength much more for granted, and that gives them confidence that they don't even know that they have, but they do, and we don't have it. And when we get stronger, it just changes how you live in your body. I find. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yes.
It changes how I move through the world. It changes how I walk. It changes literally I'm just more confident. And I feel like I can take on the world and I can do things. I can do hard things, right? And I know another way you and I relate is you talk about the Stoics. You talk about Amor Fati and you talk about Memento Mori, and I'm into that stuff also. And we can do hard things,
That's it right there. Like that's another thing I'll repeat to myself, like with the MEMS is the ambulance service. I say, you could do hard things. Like when I'm driving up, you can do hard things, and they cross over each other in that way. And like you're saying is perfect. Like we go into all types of scenes. And usually, as I said, I'm not the lead. I'm an EMT. A medic runs the call, but I don't come in meek. I come in, even though I might be like, oh my God, what the hell am I getting into? Holy shit, I don't know what's going on. But the confidence you're saying from powerlifting and going into rooms, Because
Yeah.
I view myself like I'm nice and I'm not intimidating. I'm like, a little soft, mushy bear, a little mushy inside. So people are like, you're intimidating. I'm like, how? How am I intimidating? Like I'm really sensitive and I'm mushy, you know? And I think it's
I
like you're
get why
saying,
people say that though, because you look badass. Like you just
oh, I'm so
you
mushy.
look tough. And well, I think we don't know that about you. We
Yeah.
just look at you and you're like, pulling this heavy weight and you're kind of tall and you look tough.
Oh, thank
And you
you.
are tough. You are tough because I mean we haven't even talked about the thyroid storm and the thyroid problems, right? You have been through it with your health,
Yeah.
and like almost died with this, right?
Well, I don't want to be dramatic. I didn't
You could
almost
have
die.
died if you hadn't
Yeah.
treated it, right?
Yeah, yeah, it could have been, yeah, yeah, definitely. It got treated long before, but when like probably when the attending physician came in and said, "I'll pray for you. You're really sick," I'm like, "Do I need to tell my kids?" You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So tell us really quickly what exactly is a thyroid storm
yeah,
and
sure.
when did this happen and how has it affected you since?
So a lot of people think of hypothyroidism. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm tired, I'm fatigued," and a lot of people are on medication for hypo. Now, hyper is actually more common. It could be something called Graves' disease, but also you can get hyperthyroidism from, and this is what happened to me, like sleep deprivation, extreme stress, and surgery. And that was what was happening because less than a month before, I had a student die by suicide.
Oh,
And that really did a number on me. And then how did I respond? I just started working more for MEMS. I start working here and just so I was in a sleep deprivation. And I don't have any history of thyroid issues, though my mother has Graves' disease, so that's a type of hyperthyroidism. And how it presented at first, when I look back, and this is like a warning sign, I was so irritable. Like I'm usually kind of irritable to begin with, but I mask. But it was like a situation that's a 4. I'm like responding internally like it's a 10. And then my heart rate, my blood pressure just kept going up. Like it would be normal, and then like it'd be 150 over 100, and then it'd get up to like 180 over 100. I just thought, oh, you're stressed. And then I thought, oh, it's, even though I'm on HRT too, maybe my hormones are off. But then I started to run high fevers at night, and I would wake up drenched, like I jumped into a pool, and I would have soaked through the sheets. My fever would go up to about 104, 105, and I would take, Tylenol, and it would maybe bring it down to 101, 102. And I was having palpitations. My doctor thought I probably had a mosquito or a tick-borne illness. So I live in Arkansas. We don't have Zika virus, but they ran Zika on me. They ran everything, and then they're like, "Well, we think you have some type of infection. You really need to go to the ER." And my doctor even called me and goes, "You need to go into an ER." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to go in an ER." Like my first result, I'm like, "God, I don't want to go." And
I've
then
worked in those. I don't want to be there.
the one thing they never checked was my thyroid panel. And then my girls over at Health Services go, "But it's weird, they never checked my thyroid." So I came in and they checked my thyroid, and they called me and go, "You got to go into the ER." So I went into the ER and showed them, I said, this was done, where I work. And so then they were like, "Yeah, you're going into what's called an impending thyroid storm." And that could be fatal because it's like your blood pressure rises so high in your heart. And then it was a figuring out why I lost so much weight. And it's not like cutting weight. So I didn't look ripped. I looked skinny fat because it just, your metabolism, it's like a furnace and it burned through most of my muscles.
How long
Yeah.
was the process of this dysfunction?
I didn't realize what was going on almost a month, but then when it got really sick and it got dicey within a week. And so I was hospitalized, discharged, and then it got sick again because the medication, it was too low. And then I had to function again like that when I was taken off of everything. You go from hyper to normal and great, and then to hypo. But on that medication, I felt like I couldn't keep anything in my head to learn anything new, and I was very worried about the ambulance. I still lifted, but it was very light. And it was so frustrating because, you just lose so much strength. And then Riley's like, "You gotta eat, you gotta eat." You go, "Man, I'm trying." I'm like losing weight and this isn't healthy,
Yeah.
And you look different too. You have no muscle.
Yeah. Well, like you said, you're just burning, your metabolism's just on
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
So it sounds like what was basically was an acute issue turned into a chronic
Yes. And
illness
then,
for you.
then endocrinologist was like, we're ruling out cancer because the nodules were suspicious. And then we can't find anything. I was like, all right, later. But my endocrinologist is like, I don't want to put you on anything because I want to see if your thyroid returns back to normal. And then that's like brain fog and like trouble concentrating. It was just a whole process functioning like that. If I get really tired or it's later on in the day and I've not had an energy drink, I have trouble with words. I will feel like really tongue-tied, but more importantly, I'll start slurring my words, or I am not making sense, like an aphasia thing, where I know exactly what I'm trying to say, but the words won't come out. And I'm itchy a lot. My skin is always itchy, and my nails are just really brittle. But I feel very, very lucky because, like, seriously, as I said, people die from thyroid storm.
Yeah. And it sounds
And
like you're getting healthier slowly,
yes,
right? It's slowly working itself out.
yeah, it was like 3 months of feeling pretty damn good. I did get myself almost into trouble where I tried to run in the heat. That was dumb. And I felt my heart like do where it just beats so fast. And then I was getting really faint, like I was going to pass out. And then I was like, okay, this is really dumb. Shit, that'd be really embarrassing if somebody that worked with came and had to cut off your shirt and do CPR.
This is wasn't a fear of death. It was a fear of looking like an idiot in front of your
Yeah.
colleagues,
And
right?
then,
I'm going to be mortified.
and then I think the big thing I talk about the joints. I really felt it aged my joints by about 10 to 15 years, where already I had issues. And I just was like, I gotta stop going to doctors. Each time I go, they find something new, you know? But you
So,
just gotta keep moving.
well, that's what I was going to say. Were you able to lift at all during the sort of recovery period?
Yeah,
And you
just
kept
really
going?
light.
Yeah.
And it was really frustrating because I had to learn stop comparing yourself. Because I was in prep for a meet when I went into thyroid storm. And I was so mad because it's like, oh my God, not only can I not do my openers, I can't even do warm-ups. Like I remember, just for context, like I was hoping in this meet before I got sick that I would maybe pull 320. I couldn't even deadlift 200.
So did you go ahead with the meet or did you drop out?
No, I dropped out. And then, like, I was doing a deadlift only in June. And literally in June was when I was in the hospital. This was 2025. And then in July, I did bad bitches only. And I knew I was going in. Then each week I got a little stronger. I got a little, like, the first week I couldn't lift 200. Then I could do 200. It was heavy as fuck. I couldn't really do 225. And then 3 weeks before, I tried 250, and I'm like, it wouldn't budge. But then at the meet, and this is the first and last time, like I was worried I wouldn't make weight, as in I was too light, because like, for context, I'm about 5'6" ish. And I would, compete at 132, but walked around at 135. Like I dropped to 125
Wow.
from 135. And then I was like, oh my God, I had like a smoothie, chips, salsa, and chicken fajitas before weigh-in. And I got up to 132. I know everyone hates me for that, but I promise you don't want the smoke. You don't want the
No, I mean, no.
And I think it was pure adrenaline. Then I was able to lift from 250 2 weeks before to 290. I felt good. My family was there, but that was a big struggle. I'm very lucky and very thankful because I'm never sick. And then to be that sick, and even my husband's like, I didn't realize how sick you were because you kept getting up and going to work till I couldn't. I mean, I was fighting about going to the ER.
You're a stubborn bitch.
I,
I don't even know you that well, but that's very clear, and for good and ill. Like,
yeah.
my husband always says people's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness, which I've found to be
Yeah.
like the most profound thing I think I've ever heard, and I've never seen it not be
It's
true.
true.
Yeah.
No, it's true because, like, Tara, it's 100 degrees and you try to run. You just got out of the hospital. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah. Well, that's the same impulse as what we were talking about earlier, that we go too hard.
Yeah.
we know we should hold
Yeah.
back, but we're like, I could just do a little bit more,
Just a
and
little
then we
more,
get
yeah.
hurt, right? Yeah. Well, on that note, I know you've been told more than once by medical professionals that you can't, you shouldn't, you won't, you won't ever be able to squat below parallel, you shouldn't squat at all, I mean, all the things, right? You're a medical professional. So how did you deal with that? And how did you manage to kind of forge ahead anyway? Obviously, you're not going to tell people, oh, don't listen to the doctor, but
Right, right. No, absolutely. Because there's spectrum. I mean, there's some people who've never moved before, just like get up and go to work and come home and just move to go to the bathroom and move to their sedentary job. You don't start balls to the walls. You start slow. And so I also knew that like what they were saying, they were also saying it in a way to, because liability to protect themselves, in that way. But also my body, probably even on gear, I can't ever see myself squatting over 300 pounds. It just won't happen. I just won't be able to lift that much because my body can't handle that much weight. But I think you start slow and you listen to your body. And I already had muscle memory from years of doing it before, so that helped. So I think it's not that you don't want to listen to them, because it's also the same like what I tell the students here, because I'm prescribing meds. I'm like, let's have this conversation. You have a right to stop the meds at any point, but hear me out about the risk and benefits. See, everything is a risk and benefit. It
Right.
shouldn't be should. It's weighing out risks and benefits. And to me, the benefit of moving was much more profound than the risk. So I look at it as a risk benefit.
well, I think part of the problem is the medical community largely doesn't understand still
Yes.
strength training
Yeah.
and the benefits of it, the relative risks of it. Like they're still living in 30 years ago in terms of
Yes.
the knowledge base.
Yes.
And especially for older people and older women. And so older women hear it all the time, that they're going to hurt themselves. And so I think it's very hard for people to know what to do when their doctor's telling them, you shouldn't do that. It's dangerous. And
Yeah.
then, the fitness community is like, no, it's the most important thing for you to do. You need to do it. What do you do? Right. So, what would you tell a woman our age who was hearing that message? I'm not talking about someone who's like got cardiac issues or high blood
Sure,
pressure
sure.
or just had surgery. I'm just talking about your average, person.
Well, this is where we could talk about like what you mentioned before, Miriam, about studies. And I even have to say this because I am not a psychiatrist, and I'll see students that have been to a psychiatrist, and I'm like, well, I respect their scope and their opinion and all that. But I say this a lot. Here's another perspective. Is another perspective. There's studies that support this, and the big thing we all can agree on is our risk of osteoporosis, and that what do we need to do to prevent osteoporosis is weight-bearing exercise, whatever that looks like. Because I'm sure your doctor would much rather you move some type of weight safely than be on medication for osteoporosis.
Or break your hip and end
Yes,
up in the
yes,
hospital and
that-
die. From
Yes,
mortality,
even more.
mortality.
Yes, even more.
Yeah.
Even more. So absolutely. And I think slowly doctors are getting on board, but I think they're not on board with like people older than us. And they need to be, because again, we're not at all saying, that's why I loved the gentleman that you had that trains, older adults, because that was so empowering to me to see, because I mean, every weekend I'm doing a transfer, at least one or two transfers of people that are within 10 to 15 years of us that are bedridden or in nursing homes. That's scary to me.
So what's your message if someone's listening to this who is maybe contemplating getting started with strength training but hasn't taken the leap? I mean, you have a unique perspective as somebody who in fact is
Yes.
working in EMS and first response.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody if they're sitting here in front of you?
I would say it is imperative for you to move, whatever that looks like. And we start slow. We're not asking you, and I tell the students, I'm not asking you to do a powerlifting meet or run a marathon, but you got to move. And it will help with physical health, mental health. Like we know, as the youngins say, touch grass, but got to go outside for 10 minutes. Got to walk. Like we know getting outside and walking for at least 10 minutes does wonders. And then the strength training part, it's like if you're not ready to even go to a gym, like modified push-ups against a wall, like body squats. You can start low when you're watching TV. I mean, they even have this in, like for older adults, they'll have classes of this that if you like need research, I'd be more than happy to point out the research. This isn't terror ideology. This is stuff that's been tested. I would also meet the person where they're at, because we're all at different parts of our life where we're ready for change or not. Because a big chunk of what I see is students that bed rot and smoke cannabis and don't want to move. I see a lot of, and this is not to body shame, a lot of obesity, and obesity due to lifestyle. Not that everyone that's obese is a lifestyle thing. I realize there's medical issues, but if you're not moving, that's like, that's you got to move in some capacity.
Our whole culture at this point is counter movement. If you think about it, everything is online. It's desk jobs, it's computers,
Yes.
Kids are gaming, their physical classes are getting cut, their recess times are getting cut. Then the pandemic happened, they were all locked in their houses for a year and then in their dorms. If you're like an athletically minded team sport person, then you'll move. But if you're not, I think it's much harder.
So I don't know if that explained it. That I meet them where they're at, and I encourage some type of movement.
Yeah.
And just like, okay, what about weights?
Yeah.
Low 2 pounds are okay. Just something.
So, when you look ahead in terms of what's coming for you, what are your goals right now, whether it's in your life or on the platform? Sure. What are you up to next in powerlifting?
I would love to grow the deadlift to Uplift, and I would love to get a powerlifting club on campus. I would love that. My personal goals is I would like to break my PR. I would like to break 320. And we really thought I was going to do it, and that would have been so amazing in March. I really thought, like I was thinking, let me just do that and maybe go for a fourth. I would like to, and I told my son this because he thought it would be really badass if I could squat 225 again, 245 plates on each side. Yeah. I would like to get back, to benching. My best in a competition is 130. I don't think I'll see it, but I'd like to get back to 120. I'm getting close. I actually did it 122 with no pause. So I'd like to do that. I'm getting stronger in different ways, Miriam, where I could do more reps. Like today, my program, I did 243 for 6. So in my clothes today. So I'm like, okay, I can do more, sets of 5 and 4s, and that's exciting. I would like to get off the streets. I got another year or two. I mean, it'd be pretty badass if I could make it to 60, but I think I got another several years of me in EMS if I'm just smart about it. Yeah. And then the personal goal, I would love to bring movement to more people because it is really cool. And it makes me want to cry, almost like when I see a student that was very timid and didn't want to do this and didn't believe in themselves, like you're saying, then lift, and you see they kind of, that is the coolest thing. That is the coolest thing. That's awesome to me.
The beautiful thing about fitness and for lifting, I think especially, is that you're giving yourself evidence every rep, every set, every training session, every day, every month. You're giving yourself evidence that you can.
Yes.
And that's how you build confidence. There is no other way. You have to prove it to yourself. You can tell yourself shit all day long and have affirmations and feel good messages, but if you actually did it, you did it. And you did it, and you proved it to yourself, right? Which is sort of like that mentality you need to have on the platform, and I need to remember that too. It's like, you earned this. You put in the time. Mm-hmm. You have evidence that you can do this. So believe it.
I love that. I love that.
Evidence. Yeah. I'm guilty of not. I don't think I fully believe that enough when I'm in that moment. I don't know about you, but that anxiety. I undercut my own strength, I think, by thinking I can't. I think on some level I don't believe it. So that's something I'm working on.
we'll work on it together because I get entirely what you're saying. No, I get that, and that's that fear, and then I have to think about, like what you said, we can do hard things. We can do hard things.
Yes.
We are doing hard things.
You are doing unbelievably hard things, and you're a huge inspiration. I know you're an inspiration to me, and you're an inspiration on social media because I see other people commenting on your posts. And by the way, where can people find you? What's your handle?
Sure, it's Tara the Walking Deadlifter. Yes, from The Walking Deadlift. I mean, sorry, The Walking Dead had a character named Tara. So I took it from that and I just kept it. So Tara the Walking Deadlifter. Nurse and an EMT that makes trash reels to de-stress.
Guys, you got to follow Tara. I love your posts. They're funny and they're self-deprecating and they're wise and they're all of the above. And
They're top tier trash.
they are so not trash. And if somebody happens to be local to you in Little Rock and wants to get involved in or donate to or whatever the Deadlift to Uplift, is it a program? Is it like, how can
It's
they?
basically on campus, but I think we're going to try to open it up where, like, hey, if you're just on campus or walk by, we're not going to be like, are you a student? Just hop in. Like, it was really cool. Our campus walk for suicide prevention, just people were walking by because there was like, survivors and family members. And so we were doing it for anyone who wanted to. I would love to do one once a month, but we're just, trying to get our schedules together. Because, I mean, I have the equipment. And I now know I could just set it up. I could set it up on the grass outside. I've done that. Like, I don't need permission.
This is University of Arkansas at Little Rock?
At Little Rock.
Okay.
So we're known as UALR. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyone listening, if you have family members or friends
me
or
up.
kids or whatever that have any relationship, yeah,
Yeah.
just giving it a shout out so people can get more involved with it.
Yay.
And last two questions. One of them is, what is your favorite lift other than deadlift? Obviously, deadlift is your favorite. I'm not even going to ask you.
Can it be a non-powerlifting
Yeah,
one?
sure.
I love vertical leg press. And I know everyone hates the leg press. I like it because, like, I'm sure with all of us, I can do a lot and I feel like I'm a badass. Like, I have gotten up to where I could do 12 fucking plates. I'm like, oh my God, look at me go. Of course, it doesn't translate on the platform, but that I love the leg press because it's just all lower body. It's just, I use my whittle wags.
Last question, because I'm trying to build a playlist, is what is your hype song? If you're going for that 320,
Yeah.
5 chip on your record.
So it changes, but I like, rap hip hop. The big one that I've been listening to lately is Plan B by Megan Thee Stallion.
Okay.
It just gets me like,
Anything that makes you feel violent, that's
Yes.
the one we need.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. There's a few songs I listen to they're
you
in my
listen-
ears in the gym, and there's like all these 18-year-old boys at the gym training, after they're all
Yeah.
little flexing in the mirror,
Yeah.
dweebs. And I'm like, I've got Megan Thee Stallion Savage playing in
Yes.
my ear, or
Yes.
I've got Crazy Bitch. And and there's just these obscene lyrics going into
Yes.
my head. I'm like, if they
Yes.
knew what I was listening to right now, this old lady, and it's like,
right? Oh, she's probably listening to Madonna or Taylor Swift. Oh no, we're listening to Megan Thee Stallion. Right? Stop rocking. Yeah.
Tara, it has been such fun talking to you and
Likewise,
such a
thank you so
pleasure.
much.
And I wish you all of the best and great success as you continue your journey of recovery from all
Thank
this
you.
shit that you've been dealing with physically. And I hope we get a chance to meet sometime.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Miriam. I really appreciate you reaching out, and it was an honor to be here.